Eurasia is the largest continent on the face of Earth, comprising probably of all of Europe and Asia. We have heard a lot about Indo-Pacific, but a lot of people think that Eurasia is going to be much larger than Indo-Pacific and also a game changer. A lot of other people are of the opinion that there can be, at best, competition between China and the United States of America. There can be cooperation, but confrontation is not an option. However, while all this is happening, new blocks are emerging as an emerging new theme of geopolitics and geo-economics, and that is the region, Eurasia. So we have representation from France here, from the Harvard University actually, who we're going to come and speak about how they see it, and is France really the gateway to Eurasia, and what is the role of Pakistan in all of this? So we have Ambassador Aisha, who's going to shed light on that. So I would now like to invite Air Commodore Sadid Malik, who is the Secretary General of KCFR and CEO, to talk a bit about KCFR, the organization who's hosted this lunch for you.
It's a great pleasure and an honor for me to welcome you all at this august occasion. Karachi Council on Foreign Relations is a simile of Chicago Council, but that is a century old, and we are very young, just about 19 years old. We deliberate in the fields of foreign affairs, economic affairs, education, and etc. Our founding chairman was the Chief Justice, late Chief Justice and then Governor Sindh. This is Justice Sayyid-ur-Rahman Siddiqui. And then we had Chief of Naval Staff, who is also an ambassador later on after his retirement, Admiral Shahid Karimullah. Then we had another ambassador, Mr. Shahid. Then we have our former chairman, who is now our veteran chief, Mr. Ikram Sagar. And at the moment, our chairman is Admiral Khalid B. We have recently signed an MOU with a prominent university of France, Université de Le Havre. This is now with Le Havre University in their council of academic council, and hopefully soon we'll have that university portion in Pakistan too. We are short of time, and if there were later on some questions, we would love to reply to them.
First and foremost, let me express my heartfelt thanks to Pathfinder Group and Mr. Seagal for the invitation. I am truly honored to speak to this distinguished gathering on behalf of the French University world. As we all know, 40 is an age when you can start to take stock and also confidently envision future prospects on the basis of previous experience, of past successes, as well as mistakes. With the support of the Normandy region and its president, Mr. Hervé Morin, former minister, and also with the support of Mr. Edouard Philippe, regional and local authorities also, and the large companies established in Le Havre, the University of Le Havre has initiated a deep process of change, which rests on the idea that it is now time for it to assume a new dimension, thus making it both, the #1 French university specializing in maritime issues, and more broadly, one of the major European and global universities working on such issues. This transformation is based on the expertise the university has gained in 3 main domains: maritime and port questions, as previously mentioned, energy transition, especially the development of renewable energy sources and the reduction of greenhouse gas production, and finally, urban resilience, a vital question for cities such as Le Havre, faced with the likely prospect of being submerged by the ocean in a not too distant future. For 20 years now, University of Le Havre has been a member of a network of port universities called the Geo-Politics, which it has the honor to chair. By mutual agreement, Geo-8 members universities have decided to open the network to other international coastal establishments. Such an opening is a requirement if Geo-8 is to reach its goal of beginning a structured network on a global scale. Within this context, the recent partnership proposal by the University of Karachi to University Le Havre is most welcome, as are the memoranda of understanding recently signed with a number of Pakistani establishments and with the MITA. I am sure, however, that we have to go even further and faster, and I hope this gathering will act as an opportunity to lay the foundation of this enhanced academic collaboration.
I could not initiate my speech without expressing my deepest and most sincere thanks to Mr. Segal. Thank you, Mr. Segal, for his confidence in the SACC Foundation and its general delegate that I am. This opportunity is truly and historically unique and constitute, I guess, and I hope so, the beginning of a great and wonderful intellectual and human journey. Since 2011, the SACC Foundation I represented today has been anticipating through its prospective and strategic analysis these trends that are reshaping the world, as I said before, initiated by the port and the logistics community of Le Havre in France, with the objective of supporting and developing applied research in logistics, ports, and maritime. SACC has published more than 15,000 pages, absolutely free of charge. You can download that on our website for free. So this French think tank has published 25 books with the support of over more than 400 plus experts around the world, including 72 plus countries. So we work on the 5 continents, but we are here today because Central Asia has become one of the most active regions of our network. The SACC Foundation has been invited today because we believe, and we share that belief with Mr. Segal, in the importance of academic and scientific cooperation in the service of politics, social economy, and logistics. SACC will soon be in Pakistan to extend the scope of the Asia-Europe Research Network, with aims of implementation of practical and pragmatic solutions. We will publish the best Pakistani experts. Like in that book, it's going to be the volume 2 of the book we have already released, and we will gather all those expertise for feeding the thought until the case of the Port of Le Havre, of course, and not only dedicated for the Central Asia experts. We are together today consolidating the link between France and Pakistan, the supply chain future connectivity between Central Asia and the Port of Le Havre, and moreover, and I would conclude by those words, finally the friendship between people motivated by the advancement of humanity.
Dear Sir Ikram Segal, dear host Ikram Segal Sahib, to you today as a Frenchman born in the 20th century in Western Eurasia, addressing you in Switzerland in the still early 21st century about Eurasia. What can I say that may be more than my expression of admiration to you for making this Davos meeting possible? My gratefulness is therefore immense towards you, people from Asia, my colleagues in East Asia and Central Asia, for making my enlightenment possible. I first encountered the hiatus of being exposed to the nomadic minds of Asia, whereas the sedentary minds, the former nomads of Turkey and Korea, or the moving minds of the still nomadic spirits of the Mongols, the Kazakhs, and the Kyrgyz. I learned how relative can be what we hold as certain, that my Western views were mostly inadequate. For instance, when it came to such a deep structuring concept as time. Time structures the Western mind, so much so that the clock has become the symbol of capitalist constructivism. I believe that in the West we have lost something that is still present in the East. Namely, we have lost the immediacy, what the East treasures as the open future. In the West, we want, we achieve, we forget. In the East, you hope, you cherish, and you remember. There is a marked difference. A difference probably as great as that between nomadic nations that always were the best conquerors and the sedentary nations that proved the most dedicated administrators. But dedication is not equal to civilization. The concept of Eurasia is doomed if it consists of the confrontation of differences. The concept of Eurasia is a powerful force of the long history, l'histoire longue, Jean-Noël, if it consists of the preliminary acceptance that the other is a precondition of the realization of the self.
I have some prepared remarks because I thought the subject is important and serious enough to devote some serious reflection on what we mean when we talk about Eurasia and Pakistan's role and place in it. I think the dialogue on Eurasia, the initiative taken, makes an important contribution to the contemporary global discourse on the unfolding geopolitical order. It is of great interest to all of us in our different capacities as policymakers, academics, businessmen, and citizens of these regions who desire peace, progress, and prosperity for our nations. Along these converging lines, Pakistan finds itself in the heart of the Eurasian region. Geographically, historically, culturally, and civilizationally, Pakistan is a part of the spatial continuum that we call the Eurasian heartland. Pakistan has also long enjoyed a strategic partnership with European countries and the EU, individually and bilaterally. With EU, we celebrate 60 years of a partnership. It remains one of our largest trading and investment partners, and we share common values of democracy, rule of law, governance, human rights, and a free market economy. This strategic partnership with EU countries has yielded positive results for both sides, especially in the economic domain, where the GSP plus tariff-free arrangement over the past 10 years has helped both sides progress economically. In recent times, as you may be aware, Pakistan has also been described as the great connector. In a recent piece in the Atlantic Council magazine stated that at the crossroads of the abundant resources of Central Asia and the Middle East and the lucrative markets of China and India, Pakistan has the potential to play a significant connecting role that enables broader regional interdependency while boosting domestic economic prospects. I'm also very heartened to learn about the partnerships and academic exchanges between universities in France and Pakistan that are at a nascent stage but will grow forward further as we develop this dialogue on Eurasia. I also believe that Eurasia dialogue can be the springboard that brings forward, as it evolves and moves, a discussion and a conversation between women leaders in Eurasia, and in the presence of strong leadership, women leadership from Dr. Bakai, and I also want to recognize Farkhanda Nadari, the former member of parliament from Afghanistan, who is with us today, that women bring a different style of leadership that seeks to find unique solutions to common challenges. And I think bringing together women leadership in Eurasia together to deliberate on the common challenges that this region faces would be an important task forward for this Eurasia dialogue.
I'm happy to be in this dialogue today. I'm here as a citizen of Afghanistan, and it's very important that we have to keep thinking, talking about the citizenship. And I'm looking forward that soon we are going to have a representative of Afghanistan, especially from Parliament of Afghanistan, to represent the people of Afghanistan, all people, especially the brave women of Afghanistan, regardless of our differences, regardless of our diversity, we all have values. And we can work for that value through diplomacy, exchanging culture, business, services. And I think for the countries like Afghanistan, we really need to build on the infrastructure and that can be done only through connectivity. You know that in your neighborhood, Afghanistan is the landlocked country, but at the same time, it's a crossroad. It's a crossroad that I personally believe there is no Eurasia if there is not Europe or Asia. And there is no Asia if there is not connection between South Asia, Central Asia, and going to East and bringing all together to really talk about this term that we use it as a verb to define it through the existence of our citizenships. I'm very thankful for the magazine that was given to me by Mr. Saeed, I believe, Sadiq Malik, and the article that he wrote, and I really liked it, the part that he mentioned about South Asian citizens to be very competitive. And I believe that our region are very ambitious people, and now we have ambitious projects. And I believe if we give the right tools to our people and citizens through their competitiveness, they can get the highest level, depending on what kind of tool we give them. Minister Rahman actually made a good point today about the climate change crisis. And I believe what I really liked, she highlighted and made everyone responsible in the room that is not, we shouldn't put everything on God, because I think God would just look at us and say that, why did I create you all if you put everything on me? So she made it very clear that it is man-made, so I can say human-made first, but especially by men, I suppose. And I just wanted to say today that I'm sorry to say this, since the room is dominated by men, I allow myself to say this. If it was dominated by women, I wouldn't do that. So since it's dominated by men, I have to say that there are more crises created by men. I'm not here to victimize women, because I already mentioned to you that the women who are inside my country, they are the token of hope to any level that we can take it. Because I know Afghans are so ambitious, and I know that our neighbors, Pakistan people are very ambitious. And then if I go around the neighborhood of Afghanistan, we are all ambitious, but we need to use this ambitiousness. We need to know it, that our next generation is not going to repeat what we did. And we are repeating what our previous generation actually did, because the world has changed. It is not 21st century, but it's also the second decade of the 21st century. So anyways, I'm going to stop here. I took this opportunity to actually cover my question from that time as well.
So as I see it, right, Eurasia is a region, particularly Central Asia, perhaps a slightly more expansive version thereof. It's traditionally been Russia's sphere of influence. This is an area where Russia has dominated as a security provider. It is a post-Soviet space. And we have seen examples time and again since the Russian invasion where Russia has been less capable of playing that role. Meanwhile, other entrants are finding their way into into Eurasia. And so that time of flux is something that we will all need to grapple with as we think about trade and connectivity in the years ahead. We saw the protests earlier last year in Kazakhstan, where Russia did actually send troops to try to intervene, but a sign of some of kind of the societal pressures that have sprung up across the region and seem likely to continue with these shifting winds. Likewise, border skirmishes that have played out between Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan. There is a disputed border between the two, and these are areas where, again, Russia's role as a net security provider has traditionally helped to keep a lid on things, even if not resolve the underlying source of the conflict. And lastly, we were just hearing, of course, about the situation in Afghanistan, and the Taliban regime has created problems not just internally, but with, at this point, all of its neighbors, as unfortunately Pakistan has seen all too well through the impact of the TTP. So to my mind, that is a range of issues that is unlikely to resolve itself smoothly in the near term, and in fact we might see additional conflict in the year ahead. I think we've seen a growing power imbalance between the two. I really found it notable that after years of COVID lockdown, Chinese President Xi Jinping made his first foreign trip to Kazakhstan, of all places, the heartland of Russia's sphere of influence in Central Asia. So I think there's likely to be some competition between the two in that space in the years ahead. I know there is a lot of challenges there too, but at this moment where so much of the discourse focuses on deglobalization, on nearshoring, on friendshoring, choose your term, to the extent that those in this room are interested in pushing against that grain, there is opportunity to be found both near and far.
I want to thank you all, and especially Ivan Sahib, also the people who came from France and from Le Havre, from the University of Le Havre, they produced together this very promising event. And we made a party of friends and people who are using to work together, Pakistani, French, Afghan. And I wanted to come back on something that was said this morning. Back in August, I was still at the embassy in Pakistan. We got a call from Paris, and President Macron was coming back from Algeria. And in his plane, he asked not about two crises. One was Ukraine, and the other one was the Pakistan floods. Why those two? Because it's not Ukraine, it's a world crisis. We spoke about it. It's not only Pakistan, it's a world crisis. And Pakistan, like it was said very well this morning, it's not this flood is not only about Pakistan. It will not stay in Pakistan. It's a whole world concern. And France was the initiator of this idea to have a special conference in Geneva. President Macron discussed about it with Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif in New York. And also, France will send teams of people on the ground, soldiers, fire brigades, doctors, medics. They went where the floods were happening. And back in France, they campaigned about, because as she said, it's not only a state-to-state, government-to-government, it must be also a decentralized cooperation. I'm very supporting of what said Ambassador Farouki, this Eurasian dialogue. Let's make it also even more profound to go with concrete also developments and also on this women dimension, which is so important. I think you understand it very, very well.
We are very lucky to have 3 eminent people from the Harvard University, organized by our friend and of course I thank the Ambassador from from Dublin. That underscores the importance of what we're talking about, and of course Elizabeth coming all the way from the stage to give a perspective to the United States. Pakistan, which was a part of South Asia, literally was denied South Asia because India's dominance of the region. So we became a country which is part of South Asia, but not a part of South Asia, which is supposedly part of the Middle East, North Africa thing, we're not a part of it, or Central Asia, which of course was a little, let's say, going too far. But we were a part at one time of the Baghdad Pact, and then we became CENTO, and we became ultimately the Regional Cooperation and Development, and now known as the Economic Cooperation Organization, and we have roads and networks of trade already existing, which have to be upgraded. We became a gateway for Eurasia, and thanks to Yves, I was able to travel to Le Havre, and the moment I landed by train to Le Havre, and Pierre helped me take my baggage to the hotel, I can never forget it. That's something that a lot of said, Le Havre became something very special. So, dreams do come true. And I said, we have this gateway Eurasian Gateway, which will develop in the future, I'm sure. And we're having something in March in Pakistan.